Hello.
Alderman Carver.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't hearing anything.
Yeah, everything got kind of quiet, so maybe we got a silent mute button or something.
I'm hearing you, gentlemen, but I'm not hearing the main meeting.
Same here.
Same here for Chief Yarborough. I don't hear anybody on the.
Me as well.
Matt Addick, can you hear us? I'm going to hang up and call Matt.
Hello? Hello?
Alderman Carver, back.
I can hear you all, but still not the meeting.
Hey guys, the problem is that the main feed is muted on Matt's end. He's working on it, I think, but when he gets that fixed, we should be good to go.
Okay.
Can everybody hear us?
Yes.
Alderman Walker,
Yes.
good to hear. Are we back now?
I'm here, Mayor. Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Yes.
thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, and Alderman Carver, you're there?
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Walker, you're there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, we went ahead and did the pledge and the prayer without you while we were working to get you back. So we apologize for scooting on without you, but we thought that in this case that would be the most expeditious. So if you forgive us for that. We will move into the first item on the agenda of approval of the official agenda with consented items. Do we have any changes? And I will go one by one. For those of you in the audience who may not have attended our board meetings before, when we have remote people in by telephone or by video, we will do roll call, and I will canvass each member to determine their wishes as it relates to numerous items on the agenda. So first and foremost, any changes to the agenda or the consented items? Alderman Carver.
No, ma'am. Looks good.
Thank you. Alderman Sistrunk.
No, ma'am.
Alderman Little.
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker.
No, ma'am. Other than when you read the consented items, we may want a few on here that we may need to discuss. If we can just pause at that time, if we need to do that, but otherwise I'm good.
Okay. Alderman Beatty. Vice Mayor Perkins.
No, ma'am, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Vaughn.
No, ma'am, Mayor.
All right, thank you. With that, and with no discussion, I need a motion for approval of the official agenda with the consented items.
Move approval, Mayor.
I have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Beatty. If you would please answer yay or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Yay.
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 Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
And Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
Okay, Alderman Walker, before I read the consented items, was there something, I didn't totally understand what it was you were going to ask me to do.
No, ma'am, I just don't have the latest copy of what has been consented. If there's, I think there's at least one item that I would say is worthy of consent. I'm not sure if it's on the consent item or not, but it may be worth explaining to everyone in the audience what that is, if in fact it's on the consent agenda. So I'm going to let it roll unless there's something I do have a question about, but I'm okay with being approved. Just anything that might need further explanation.
Okay, all right, you just let us know, and I will now read the items that were consented by the board. First is consideration of the minutes of the July 7th, 2020 meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Consideration of the minutes of the July 17th, 2020 work session of the Mayor and the Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Under Mayor's business, consideration of extending the proclamation of a local emergency due to COVID-19 virus for an additional 30 days. Under board business, consideration of making the appointment of Jerry T., the sole applicant to the Link Board for the term beginning September 1, 2020 to August the 31st, 2022. Consideration of calling for a public hearing on the 2020-2021 budget and tax levy for the City of Starkville to be held at the August 18th, 2019 meeting. Under engineering, we have consideration of the standard master agreement between client and Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. for the continuing professional services. Under finance administration, we have request authorization for the city clerk's office to advertise for source of supply for the street and sanitation, general city, for the period October 1, 2020 to September 30, 2021. Number 3 is request authorization to advertise for municipal depository for the city of Starkville. Under human resources, we have request authorization to hire Samantha Gillen as a certified police officer in the Starkville Police Department. And number 2, request authorization to hire Megan Ward as an accountant in the Starkville Utilities Department. Under Parks, we have request approval to advertise for bids as completed by the design team and approved by the city DRC process for the Cornerstone Sports Complex project, with the bids to include turf, buildings, and the overall general contract for construction over the next 4 months. And under utilities, we have request authorization to advertise for bids for auto transformer for Starkville primary 161-69 kV substation material only. And last but not least, the request authorization to award the lowest and best bid to Worsham Brothers Constructions, LLC, for the construction of the Starkville Utilities Electric Operations Center expansion and renovations to allow combining water and electric operation at one site in an amount not to exceed $1,978,000, which will not include alternate number 1 of $17,000. And that concludes the consent agenda items.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's my pleasure, Alderman Vaughn. Next, we move to announcements and comments, and I have 2 that I want to make, and I will probably keep doing this until October the 31st, and that is census. I know that the census is being discussed numerous times in numerous places by numerous people, and I want to add my name again to the list, and it is my hope that we will all heed the call to fill out the census form. It takes all of about 5 to 10 minutes. It's like 10 questions, so it should be very simple, and it matters a great deal, particularly to the state of Mississippi, to Octavia County, and certainly to the city of Starkville, because it funds things like schools, and it funds any number of services that we hold dear. So please, if you have not filled out the census, please do so. Take the time, because it does matter. The other thing I wanted to mention is that and Alderman Carver was there, and Vice Mayor Perkins came as well. The ribbon cutting for the partnership school, which is the new 6th and 7th grade partnership school, so named because it is a partnership between MSU and the Starkville Octavia County Consolidated School District, which is an amazing structure. And if you have not had a chance to go there and see it, it is absolutely 21st century, and it is going to bring those kids into this new decade and new world in a wonderful way. So it's something we should all be very proud of. I think it's something that leads the nation, and certainly nothing that we have in Mississippi. And I'm very confidence to say probably nothing quite like it in the state or in any of the 50 states. So I would encourage you to take a look at it where you have a chance, pay attention to it. I'm sure there'll be lots of articles about it, but it is the new partnership school ribbon cutting, and the kids will be moving in this month, and I think that's very exciting. So those of you who had 6th and 7th graders, they should be delighted, and y'all should be as well. So, all right, any comments from the board? Alderman Carver.
I only wanted to echo what you just talked about. Just the partnership school was amazing, and I hope it serves as a catalyst for growth, not just for the 6th and 7th graders, but also for the Mississippi State education majors. So it's a collaboration of a platform for growth for not only the kids, but maybe to teach the teachers. And very encouraged from what we heard today. I'm sure the articles will explain it better in the newspapers tomorrow. Very excited for the kids. Personally got a couple of nieces and nephews going in there, and just very excited, and there's a lot of buzz around it, and just a wonderful time for the Starkville County Consolidated School District. I want to thank our County Board of Supervisors as well, and also Mississippi State University. So it was I think the name partnership really rings true. It is definitely a partnership for everyone involved. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Carver. Alderman Sistrunk.
I would like to echo what you said about the census, and I would like to remind people who would normally live in the city of Starkville on April 1st, I believe is the date that they counted, the date that you're supposed to be counted. And I'm looking at students out there in the world to please be counted here where you live, in the city of Starkville. And if you've already been counted somewhere else, throw your name in there and get counted here. They'll sort it out on the census side. The other thing I wanted to do was say that one of the consent items tonight was to call for a public hearing on our budget. City clerk and her staff have been putting together a budget over the past few weeks and continue to refine it. This is the first time that I'm aware of ever, it may have happened in the past, but it's the first time ever that we face a fairly serious reduction in our general fund revenues because of the economic uncertainty related to sales tax and the COVID-19 pandemic. That's going to be a special problem for us as we work through this budget. Another large item that's going to be in this budget is the inclusion of the match for the build grant, which is going to be used for revitalization of the Highway 182 corridor. It's a terrific project. It's an expensive project. So those are probably the two biggest challenges with this budget coming up this year. There should be a copy available in the e-packet Friday before the meeting when we have our public hearing. If you have questions, you're certainly welcome to call me, and I'll help to whatever ability I can.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Sistrunk. Alderman Little. No, ma'am. Okay, Alderman Walker.
No, ma'am.
Okay, Alderman Beatty.
No, Mayor, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
No, ma'am, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Vaughn.
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you all. All right, next item is for citizens' comments. This is a time when anyone can come use 3 minutes and inform the board about issues that they have or whatever they'd like to do with that 3 minutes. We are happy to listen for that period of time, and Ms. Harden will time that. Mr. Turner, how are you this evening?
Doing all right. I was getting to the main board, mayor, voting chief, fire chief, I'm in the NACP. We have some concerns with COVID-19. As soon as you all find out how you can do the next, we'll appreciate it because all you hear is COVID-19 and you'll hear about other news and stuff that we get behind everything. Also, that at the last meeting about the open containment situation, let us be careful because we don't have as much problem as other cities, but if we hold ourselves up, we could have problems that, we weren't expecting. And, I don't know all about it over the years, but, yeah, we had people under control. We don't need to open the door to make it work.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Anyone else wishing to say anything to the board?
Good afternoon, y'all. My name is Christopher Thompson. First and foremost, I want to thank you, everyone y'all, for what y'all do for our city. And secondly, I want to just spread encouragement to each one of us, especially to you, our elected officials, the people watching, and people who help out each other, to let us just let us know to trust in God. A scripture that I keep near my heart is in the book of Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verse 5 and 6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." They want to make sure that we are reminded in every step that we take, in every decision that we make, we got to keep God first and trust in him. Submit all our plans, all of our will, all our desires to his will, and he will keep us first. But we got to keep him first. But thank y'all for all y'all do, and y'all continue to stay blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Anyone else? Anyone else wishing to speak to the board? All right, seeing none, I will close it for citizen comments. We now have one public appearance, the Starkville Public Library presentation by the new library director, Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, we have 10 minutes for you. Ms. Harden is timing, so please.
We will try not to take all of that.
All right, we will look forward to hearing you.
But I do want to take a moment of your time tonight, especially as we are all looking at budget, as we're all talking about that. Just be real honest about that. Tell you some of the things the public library has been doing, and give you an idea of where we are, especially in the times of COVID-19 and the difficulties that we're all facing. Give you an idea, I hope you all have library cards. I didn't bring them, but same time when we can shake hands safely, I'll bring some to make sure if you don't have them, we'll take care of it. So I want to give you an idea of the importance and the reach that the public library has here in Starkville. And I'm not sure that's been really pressed before. Pre-COVID, we saw between 10 and 14,000 visits a month to the Starkville Public Library. That doesn't even count our Maven and Sturgis branches in our system. We're regularly visited. We circulate over 60,000 physical items a year. And that number can be increased, and it will be increased. We've got some plans in place to make materials much more accessible, much more readily available to people in Starkville. We're working on our collection to make sure that it's better updated, that it is better tailored to the people of Starkville, and that it is what people want and need. We're doing some community needs assessments. We're doing some collection analysis to make sure that what we are offering is what is needed. That all takes personnel and money and time, and that's what we're working towards. Now, since we shut down, we actually closed our doors on March 17th. Since then, we were one of the first libraries in the state to safely reintroduce curbside service. We've reintroduced some limited hours during the week at this point. We're holding there for a little bit until we see where things move further. We're working very fluidly on a week-to-week basis almost. It doesn't feel minute-to-minute anymore, which is nice, but we're working very hard to provide those services. We've opened up for curbside fax, printing, copying services. We're working on a way to try to provide better computer access actually outside the building where people are safer than coming inside our limited space. I want to come talk about the importance of the library, and y'all see me around. I'll be around for a lot of these meetings, but I also want to give you a chance to ask me any questions you might have about library services we offer Starkville, about the things we're trying to put in place, the community we're trying to build around the public library, the opportunities we want to be able to offer to all people of Starkville. In the time of digital, we've moved our summer reading program has been online this year. It has been hit and miss. Our children's librarian, Lorraine Walker, has done a fantastic job of building. She does a story time online on our Facebook page every day. It has been shared nationally hundreds of times at this point. It's receiving upwards of 2,500, 3,000 views per video on Facebook at this point. We're doing everything we can to bring library service outside our doors while it's so difficult to bring people into our doors. Safety, racism, we're working towards that. So I wanted to make myself available to answer any questions y'all might have. As far as our needs go, you all should have a handout of a 5-year plan that I put in place outlining some needs and difficulties and hurdles we want to overcome. It's the worst possible year that I could possibly be presenting this, I understand. So anything is helpful, and but at least you understand what we're looking for. So I welcome questions.
I'll go board member by board member. Alderman Carver, do you have any questions, Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Alderman Cicero?
Could you speak just briefly about some of the non-traditional things that y'all do there at the library? I know when I'm there, I see lots of people using computers, printing, faxing, as you said. It feels like it serves as an internet resource for a lot of our community, almost a business hub for some of our community. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We offer computer access. We're one of the only places, public libraries is pretty much one of the only places in America, period, that you can enter, use services without any expectation of spending money. And people use our computer services to do everything from job searching, entertainment, check their email, online schooling is very popular. And actually, just today, I was in the process of trying to get some quotes to upgrade and update some of our computers to make them better for when we are able to welcome people back into our doors full time, to make that process even faster, more efficient, and better suited for the needs of our people. We also offer online books. If physical books aren't your thing and you have a digital device, you can check out digital books with us. Will offer classes, programming, especially children's programming is very, very popular. We also have a wonderful YA librarian who works with teens and young adults, gives them something to do after school as well when things are more normal, of course. We also work very hard to build partnerships. We work very closely with our Friends of the Library, which is a nonprofit organization that benefits the public library. They raise money for us. Many of you have probably frequented their book sales that they have at the library. Our plan is next year to cap off National Library Week. We're going to, in the process of planning a 5-8K run, booking it to the library, to try to bring the community together and do some different things in the community. The library will always be a place for books, but there's so much more that we do now that isn't always seen or known.
And I'd like to make a comment to the board. If you've not had a chance to look at the handout that Mr. Carter included, I labored under the assumption for years, until say about a month and a half ago, that the money that we provided to the library and that the county provides to the library was supplemental, that most of their funding came from other sources. And I have to admit, I was startled to find out that that's very much not the case. And that we don't fund our libraries at the level that I think the people of Starkville would like to be able to fund the library. We rank in the lower half of library funding in the 50-something library systems in the state.
Per capita, it's true. And it has been reflected in our staffing. We're actually staffed under state accreditation requirements, simply because the money's not there to staff at those accreditation requirements right now. Across the board, across the state, local funding from city and county actually makes up typically about 75% of a public library budget here in the state of Mississippi. The rest of it's made up for in some state funding and some federal funding, which, by the way, an additional shout out, please fill out your census. That census information affects our funding at the public library from state and federal sources. So that information is extremely important. We partnered with the census for as long as our doors were open, that they were in there working with people, hiring people to do the census. So we really want to make sure that information is filled out. But it's true, the majority of our funding does come from our local funding authorities, from the city of Starkville, town of Maven, town of Sturgis, and Occoquan County.
Thank you for that, Mr. Carter.
Okay. Alderman Walker, any questions of Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am. I just wanted to say thank you very much for all your diligent work, and we very much appreciate all the value that the library and the library system brings to the folks in the city and in our county. So thank you very much.
Alderman Beatty?
Mr. Carter, have you submitted your budget request for fee this year? I guess it's in our new tax budget.
Yeah, it's part of the packet, part of the 5-year plan.
Does the amount you requested get us up to the mid-range on per capita? It doesn't.
I provided, inside that package, you'll find a 5-year plan that even at the end of the 5 years, we will not be at the midpoint.
What's the difference in the amount of money you're requesting from us that, in this year's budget? What's the difference in that amount that would be needed from us to, and maybe, I assume we bear, a prorated, percentage amount of that, what would be needed to increase you to that midpoint, but what would our contribution need to be?
Sure. Well, I'll give you an idea. Currently, our funding from the city sits at $210,000 a year. That's what we receive. At the end of the 5-year cycle, it gets us, the idea would be to be at $283,000 and some a little above that. That gets us to roughly, using today's population numbers, this is pending, of course, census, gets us to about $11.06 per capita. The state average for municipalities sits closer to the $13 range per capita.
Is that even in small places? I mean, smaller?
Yes, that's even small places. Actually, per capita, we fall under, I gave several comparisons in that packet that will compare similar library systems. That does put us below even places like Clarksville, Oklahoma County, puts us below Bolivar County, that puts us below Benton County. Columbus Lounge, we're funded below even the per capita.
Columbus Lounge funding theirs is in the midpoint range for you.
They,
well, what's their funding per capita?
Now, the last fiscal year I have complete data for is fiscal year 2018, so these are a little dated. I should have 2019 data here in the next month or so. But Columbus Lounge funds for fiscal year 2018, the city of Columbus provided $273,920, and Lowndes County provided $366,900.
Is their budget roughly that's what our budget is?
Because of the additional funding, their budget is about higher than ours. We serve a pretty similar population, similar needs, similar size system. Just the funding is the difference, and they're staffed accordingly.
Do you think the fact that paying your money is of course that we've not, city is not funded at the level we needed to, is because the library's not asking for it, or is it something where it's a submitted request and what are your, I know you're new, but you ideas about that?
I've been looking back to try to figure out those things, and the city's been very supportive, and funding has been increasing over the years. I went back about 20 years to look and see what was happening. I can't speak to the communications from the prior director, to be really honest, as to requesting funds. There may have been some of that. There may have been some not accurately explaining the needs of the library system, where our funding comes from. There maybe wasn't some communication on the way public libraries were established. There's a lot of things established by state law for the way public libraries have to run and how to operate and where their funds have to go that maybe wasn't conveyed. And so I'm here to open up that communication. I want to make sure that we're having those very, very open, very frank conversations so that we know not just what we're doing, but what we could do. But I feel like there's so much more we could do for the city of Starkville and Octavia County than what we're doing right now.
And you said the state average per capita is what, 13.1?
State average per capita for 2018, I can give you the overall.
When I was just 11, I know it was 6 cents that the state average.
That's if we move to that 5-year point. Actually, sorry, I have lots of pages here. And I have to see to get them out of order. At the end of that 5 years, that would put us at $11.06. Currently, we're funded at $8.19 per capita from municipalities. Overall, taking into account all of our local funding sources and per capita numbers, it brings us down to, for 2018 stats, $7.94 per capita. The state average for per system was $13.28 per capita. That takes into account county sources, other municipalities.
I appreciate it. I know you've got a lot of good information for us, and I think that as we move forward, as a city can do so, we need to look at seriously increasing that contribution from the city to the library to get us up to at least the midpoint. We're college town. We got a university with 22,000 students. I think our public library ought to be funded at a level at least what is average for the state, particularly these other rural counties, like you're talking about Benton County, places like that. So, but I appreciate you coming.
Of course, thank you. And I will add, just as an aside, with that additional funding comes a better opportunity for us to partner and to do things and to be a more integral part of the fabric of Starkville. And that's my dream.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
No, ma'am, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Vaughn.
Mr. Carter, thank you so much for your new ideas and your plan that you brought to the city of Starkville. I have heard great things about you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, we appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. All right, next on our agenda, we have a number of public hearings. First, we have the second public hearing in consideration of amending the City of Starkville Code of Ordinances, Article 3, Section 82-51 at SEC, assemblies, parades, and processions. In my understanding, I see Mr. Latimer leaning forward. So my understanding is there was a slight change at the request of Vice Mayor Perkins earlier today. Mr. Latimer, would you like to run us through that really quick?
Yes, ma'am. We made two slight changes. One was to Section 82-66. We added the phrase pursuant to those policies, which reference the First Amendment policy and the special events policy. And then on Section 82-69, we added the phrase at the end, pursuant to the city's special events policy or First Amendment assemblies policy. Again, just clarifying that those policies drive whether or not the mayor can authorize an event. Remember that the special events policy caps for authority at 5,000 or below, and anything above that 5,000 comes before, whereas anything from a First Amendment standpoint would come before the board anyway. So this language clarifies, but it also provides flexibility, because if the policy ever changes, this language would just go with it, and so you wouldn't have to amend the ordinance anymore. It would just carry through based on what the policy says.
Okay, all right, thank you. Nice change there, Vice Mayor. Good catch.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So what I will do is we've had one public hearing on this. We'll open it for a second public hearing, and then we'll have comments by the board. And I will say that the changes that we made are not substantive in the sense of them being adequate to change what we were doing. So in essence, this will be the second public hearing and the opportunity for the board to pass it. So do I have anyone wishing to speak in favor of or against this particular item? Again, this is the amending the City of Starkville Code of Ordinances, Article 3, Section 82-51 et sec. Mr. Turner.
Good evening, men board. Let us, as I said at the last meeting, let us be careful. We have a lot of things that people just wait for opportunity to be disruptive, disorderly. I said in the last meeting with the situation with the flags and statues and stuff, that it's really going to stress the law enforcement to try to keep order and peace. And as I said in my comment, civil comment, you don't need to add anything to make things worse than what they are. they feel that we see what happens around when they try to have a peaceful protest, and we had someone that was right. We don't want to make ourselves, be weak to, have respect for, everything. We don't want to put ourselves in a situation that could, hurt us more than that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter either for or against? For or against. All right, seeing none, I will close it as a public hearing, and I will canvass the board to see if there's anyone wishing to make any comments regarding this. Alderman Carver, anything from you?
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Sistron?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
Mayor,
Alderman Beatty?
walk us through the process, Mayor, Council, if a group applies for a permit under the First Amendment, freedom to assemble or to have a peaceful assembly or something like that. If they apply for a permit, it can be approved by either the board or the mayor. No, can we?
First Amendment comes to the board. It will always come to the board. So it goes through a committee, it goes to the stakeholders of the event, like Chief Fowler looks at it from a police standpoint. Our other department heads look at it from a traffic flow standpoint, from a fire standpoint, things like that. It goes to the mayor looks at it, and then it comes to the board.
Well, that obviates our ability to do it immediately, which is what I thought was.
That's kind of
Still goes to the committee though.
Yes.
It's a quicker turnaround, but those things are still in the policy. It's my recollection. I don't have it in front of me, but that's my memory.
This waives the insurance requirement.
That's right.
Yes, it
That's
does waive the insurance requirement, but my understanding is unless it costs us money at some point in time, I was able to sign off on that one because it was a quick turn opportunity, and I don't have it in front of me either.
Well, the reason I was asking questions, I didn't know whether we'd have to be called in special session.
Well, that was the point. We was trying not to call
I thought that's what
special session for that. So
I streamlined it.
I will be happy to.
Under First Amendment, and not under special events. Special events goes through all hoops like you would. But, so that's my question.
Okay. All right. And I will make myself much more conversant than I am at this point in time. Okay. Thank you. Vice Mayor Perkins.
No, ma'am, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Vaughn.
No, ma'am.
All right. I need a motion for consideration of making the change that we have put in place.
Move approval, Mayor.
I have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Sistrunk. Further discussion? Okay. If you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carter.
Yay.
Alderman Fisher. Yay. Alderman Little.
Yes.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yes.
All right, that is unanimous. Motion carries. Second item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of SE 20-09, special exception to allow for a manufactured home on the west side of Sand Road in area K, approximately 2,035 feet south of Louisville Street in an R-N zoning district. Mr. Haviland.
That's special exception 20-09. This is on behalf of Isha Edwards. And it is Area K, which is approximately 2,035 feet south of Louisville Street along the west side of Sand Road. And this is a manufactured home, which is classified as a dwelling manufactured modular home, which in an R-N zoning district requires a special exception. The home site area is shown as 115 feet wide at the road. The total square footage is 40,365 square feet. The required minimum lot area is 40,000 square feet. The required setbacks are 30 feet, 25 feet, 30 feet front, 25 rear, and 10 feet on the side. There are currently no other dwellings on the site. 36 property owners of record within 160 feet of the subject property were notified by mail. The legal ad was published in the Starkville Daily News on June 28, 2020. And a signed sign was posted on the property in a conspicuous location. As of this date, the planning office has received no response from the notification. There are 8 criteria for special exception approval that are in the packet and also on the screen. There are also 11 additional standards for proposed use. In the opinion of the planning department, the proposed use associated with special exception request could meet the criteria for special exception review and approval. On July 14th, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. If there is a question.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Would you just come up and? Thank you so much. And what's your name?
Edwards.
All right, Ms. Edwards, is there anything you'd like to share with the board before we contemplate and open it as a public hearing?
I would just like to say, thank you all for all that you all do here in our state of Starkville, I'm sorry. And that if given the land, given the approval of this land, I hope that me and my little one can definitely make it a place of home and just, enjoy it.
Okay, all right, well, thank you, ma'am. All right. Any questions of either the applicant or Mr. Haviland? Alderman Carver?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Alderman Sistrunk?
Mr. Haviland, this is similar to the other ones that we have handled in the last couple of meetings.
Yes,
the other ones
correct.
that are on tonight's agenda.
All the ones along the west side of Sand Road are very similar
Okay.
in size and shape. It's just the location varies along the way.
All right, thank you.
Oh, the 16th section lane, right?
Correct.
I make a motion now, move forward.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Vaughn and a second from Alderman Little. Let me go ahead and continue. Alderman Walker, did you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am, Mayor.
And Alderman Vaughn?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, I have a motion and a second. If you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Sistrunk.
Yes.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here tonight. I didn't ever open it as a public hearing.
No.
Okay, tell you what, we have voted on it, but let me circle back real quick. Did anyone in the audience say anything about this as a public hearing? All right, seeing no one. Thank you. Sorry about that. Somebody needs to rein me in. All right, next time we have a public hearing consideration of SC 20-10, much the same. Mr. Haviland, go ahead.
Correct. SB 20-10, this is a request by Tyler Dooley on behalf of Starkville Consolidated School District for a special exception to allow for manufacturing homes on the west side of Sand Road in areas G and H, approximately 1,632 feet south of Louisville Street.
Is that it, Mr. Haviland?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The use chart requires special exception for dwelling, manufactured, or modular homes in the R and the zoning district. Home site area is a combined width of 230 feet at the road, with a total square footage of 80,730. The minimum lot area for the use is 40,000 square feet. Setbacks are front 30, rear 25, side 10. There are currently no other dwellings on the area. 36 property owners of record within 150 feet were notified by mail. A legal ad was published in several daily news on June 28th. 2020, and a sign posted on the property in a conspicuous location. As of this date, the planning department has received no response from the notification. As with all special exceptions, there are 8 criteria for approval. There are 11 additional standards associated with the use. In an opinion of the planning department, the proposed use associated with the special exception request could meet the criteria for special exception review and approval. And on July 14th, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here this evening? Applicant. And the name?
Tyler Dooley.
Dooley? Is Mr. Dooley here? No. Okay, all right. Any questions from any board members? Before I open it to public hearing, remind myself right there. Alderman Carver?
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Sistrunk?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Vaughn?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, I'll open it to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak about this particular item, now would be the opportunity. Before again. All right, seeing none, I will close it as a public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Little. Would you take that and make that a second, Alderman?
Second.
And a second from Alderman Vaughn. No further discussion. If you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls on you. Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Fisher.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Bain.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burton.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yes.
All right, it is unanimous. Thank you so much. All right, next item, Mr. Haviland, public hearing consideration of another of the same. So I'll let you read it.
SE 20-13 is a request by Fair School on behalf of Starkville County Consolidated School District for a special exception request to allow for manufactured homes on the west side of Sandy Road in area N and O, approximately 3,727 feet south of Louisville. The use chart requires a dwelling manufactured modular home to receive a special exception in an RN zoning district. The home site area is a combined width of 230 feet at the road, total square footage 8,730. The required minimum lot area is 40,000 square feet. The required front setbacks is 30, rear 25, side 10. There are currently no other dwellings on the home site area. 36 property owners of record within 160 feet of subject property were notified directly by mail. A sign was posted on the property in a particular location. As of this date, the planning office has received no response from the notification. There are 8 criteria for special exception approval. There are 11 additional things proposed use in the opinion of the planning department. Proposed use associated with the request could meet the criteria for special exception review and approval. This was recommended for approval July 14th by the Planning and Zoning Commission, voted unanimously to recommend.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Haviland. Is the applicant here? Yes, ma'am, would you come up? If you would, tell us your name, please, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And do you have anything that you'd like to add to what Mr. Haviland has said about your application? No. All right. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open it to public hearing, and then I will ask the board for any comments. So anyone wishing to speak to this item, now would be the opportunity. Anyone? All right. Seeing none, I'll close it as a public hearing. Mr. Carver, any questions of either the applicant or Mr. Haviland?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Strunk?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Vaughn?
Ma'am.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for,
Approve.
I have a motion of approval for Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Sistrunk. If you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Sistrunk.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous. Thank you very much. You have a good evening. All right, Mr. Haviland, we have a special exception for an RV park.
This is SE 20-12. It's a request by Tim Moore and the Board of Aldermen on behalf of Starkville County Consolidated School District for a special exception to allow for a recreational vehicle park and mini storage facility on the west side of Louisville Street, approximately 800 feet north of Warrior Drive. The use chart does require that a recreational vehicle park and a mini storage in an RN zoning district receive a special exception. Aspen has entered into an agreement with the school district to lease 10.06 acres directly north of the current business, Moreland RV Park. The lease area will be an extension of the business with additional storage units and RV spots, which can be seen on the screen. The blue buildings are the actual structures for the mini storage. And in the road, you can see the smaller squares, which are the RV spots. The existing business is located just to the south. You can see one of the buildings of the existing business on the very southern end, bottom of the page. and that road, well, driveway will actually tie into the existing drive on the existing business. Only the leased portion of the property for the whole 16th section will be used for the proposed use. 16 property owners of record within 160 feet of the subject property are notified directly by mail their request. The legal ad was published in Starkville Daily News on June 28, 2020, and the sign was posted on the property in a conspicuous location. As of this date, the planning office has received no response from the notification. And again, the 8 criteria for special exception approval, and there are 5 additional standards for the proposed use of a recreational vehicle park and 4 additional standards for the proposed use of mini storage. And both of those can be seen on the screen. And in the opinion of the planning department, the proposed use associated with the request meets the criteria for special exception review and approval. And on July 14th, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the results.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Evans. Is the applicant here? Just made it in time, didn't you? Okay. Hey, doing well. Anything you'd like to add to what Mr. Haviland said?
No, nothing at all. Yeah, I've got that question I can answer those.
Okay, well, we will canvass and see about that here. All right, so let me see. This is also a public hearing, obviously. So, tell you what, I'm going to ask if anyone has any comments they wish to make or at the public hearing. I will open it now as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor or against this particular item? Anyone? All right, seeing none, I will close it as a public hearing, and we will go through the board members and see if there are any questions of this particular project. Mr. Carver, Alderman Carver.
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Sister.
I have 2 questions. One is, because I am directionally challenged, if I were looking at the existing site, this will be to the right, to the north?
On which way you're coming down the street. So if you're going south on Old 25,
okay,
it will be on your right.
And it will be before I get to. It's further away from the neighborhood there. Is what I can.
If you're facing the existing business, if you look to the right, would be right.
Okay, so it is further away. And the other question maybe for Mr. Haviland, are there any drainage concerns?
They have submitted some preliminary drawings to DRC, and so we've already started that discussion. So obviously for full approval for the get building permits and start construction, they'll have to, meet all the other ordinances.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Little.
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Walker.
Mayor, the only question I have is for Mr. Haviland. I just want to make sure that I'm certainly in favor of approval of this project. And if there's a motion made, does there need to be specified for these additional standards, or with a regular motion, the additional standards would be part of the requirement?
The additional standards travel with it. They're already part of the requirement, and the applicant had no issue with any of the additional standards.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Alderman Beatty.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Vice Mayor Perkins.
No, ma'am.
Alderman Vaughn.
Only concern I had was on the fish trunk, only when the fish trunk had the flooding, because that's a flooded area, flood a lot, so this isn't going to contain it, okay.
All right, and I'm sorry, would you say your name?
Well, Owens.
Mr. Owens, okay, are you with Mr. Pritchard?
Yes.
Okay, so I recognize, but our clerk needs to have that on the record, so we appreciate it. All right, if, with no other comments from the board, I need a motion for,
Move approval, Mayor.
a motion for approval from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Sistrunk. With no further discussion, if you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Fisher.
Yay.
Alderman Gay.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Thank you, too. All right, Mr. Haviland, use exception for place of worship on Taylor Street.
This is UE 20-01. This is a request by the Orchard Church on behalf of RMR Investment Company LLC for a use exception to allow for a place of worship located at 708 Taylor Road. And you might not be familiar with Taylor Road. That is the road that actually runs in front of the post office, the private drive. As you can see, this address is the back part of the building that had the Ford Vision Clinic, I believe we're going to.
Yes.
The applicant is requesting to operate the Orchard Church out of Suite B and C. The use chart requires a use exception or a special exception for a place of worship in the C zoning district. The proposed use does not require the construction of a new building or major modifications of an existing building or site. Therefore, the request is reviewed as a use exception. Sort of the difference in a use and a special exception. Special exception, once it's placed on there, it just continues regardless of ownership, whereas the use exception, once they move out, it expires. 16 property owners of record within 160 feet of the subject property were notified by mail. The legal ad was published in Starkville Daily News on June 28, 2020. The sign was posted on the property in a conspicuous location. As of this date, the planning office received no response from the notification. And with use exceptions, there are 6 criteria for approval, review and approval. And then with the use, there are 5 additional standards which the applicant can meet. In the opinion of the planning department, the proposed use associated with the use exception request could meet the criteria for use exception review and approval. And on July 14th, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Would you like to come up, please? If you would be so kind as to identify yourself. Triple? Okay, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add to Mr. Haviland's presentation? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, I will do this again. I'll open it to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this item, please, now is the opportunity. Yes, sir. Would you come forward? If you come forward and say your name, please.
Sean Ivy.
Mr. Ivy?
Have interest in the Heritage Press there, on property there. If you make this a church deal, and if we was to sell, could we, what are the laws on that?
Oh, hit me cold on that one. I have no idea. By laws, what do you mean, sir?
Can you have a liquor store? Can you sell out to a liquor store?
Or to a restaurant serving alcohol? Is that what you're saying?
Does that devalue all the property there?
Mr. Latimer, my understanding is you would not be able to, you would be within 100 feet. And so, and I haven't.
All the 3 owners.
Yeah.
That place is owned by several people.
Yeah, it's condo.
It's condo? Okay.
They just found out yesterday about this. So
okay.
That's when they could be here today, so I'll step in today to help.
Okay, I understand. So the people who own, the other people who own the condos, did not find out about it?
I can't remember Justin's last name, owns the cleaners there.
Okay.
He's one owner, 3 rooms, and Renee.
Okay. So as long as whatever they're doing right there, right now, would be grandfathered in, but they're not, but y'all are not doing anything that would conflict with the church. So the answer, I think, is probably yes. It will impact the use of the church, of the buildings that are within 100 feet.
But shouldn't all the other owners have time to come up? Because they just found out about this today.
Well, did we?
Letters are mailed out to the record on the
we did not. We did not receive one as an owner.
Okay, yes, sir. We did what we were required to do.
We'll see if 2020, where we receive the letter. I never get a letter.
We filled out what we were required to do, which is to the owner of record of the Capita.
That's why I'm here today to ask, what are the laws? If you zone that in there, well, if we want to sell out, put a liquor store in, we want to sell it to somebody,
Actually, I think you can do a liquor store, you just can't serve alcohol. I believe that's right, isn't it?
There's different rules.
Yeah, there are, and I don't know off the top of my head, sir.
And is there an option for a waiver, Daniel? We've used that before.
Not for that. It's still
because actually the people won't do this from our owners. So, they have no say, they can just pull out any time they want. So, we're owners.
Right, no, I understand. I understand that's one of the problems with condos is you're stuck with your neighbors, so.
Away with if church moves by the building, something like that.
If the church were to move, but if something else happened in that building, the church would impact whatever could go into there, so.
A restaurant in there that.
I understand. That would be an issue, so.
They have a small stake in it, we have a large stake in it.
Yes, sir. I understand. So I appreciate anything else that you'd like to say while you have the opportunity.
No, we just, the other 3 owners need to be addressed. That was not addressed.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. All right. Anyone else?
Well, no. Go ahead.
Are you wanting to say something?
Well, yeah, I just, last time we were here, and I don't know if that's not good to talk record, but, I believe part of the law, or however you go about it, is that we could sign a waiver saying that we were completely okay with a restaurant or a liquor store or anything like that, and we said we would do that, we have no problem.
You can. I don't know that it can come within 100 feet though. It's a state law, and I'm not conversant. So.
Yeah, well, as far as we're concerned, we would find whatever that would not bother us for a restaurant or a liquor store.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your sharing that with us. Thank you so much.
I remember that coming up.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Well, we'll see what the board would like to do. So what I will do is we will go through the comments of the board, and then we'll circle back and see where we want to go with this. Alderman Carver, anything from speaking about either the applicant or Mr. Haviland?
No, other than just from the tenants in the building and the other people around, all the comments that I've fielded have been positive, and so I would support this tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Sistrom.
And I want to be supportive of this too, but I want to be mindful, because I've asked this question as well, I want to be mindful of the issues of the impact on the other owners there. Is that distance measured primary entrance to primary entrance? And is it 100 feet? Do we have any?
I believe it's 100 feet, because that's we took
I mean,
down
is
the
the
table.
distance on the building?
Oh.
Does it clear that?
You know, like down the sidewalk around the corner versus just
I think it's as the crow flies. But we can research it.
If it's in the front door, I mean, it really depends on where the door falls along there. Could possibly be outside of 100 feet.
that's the way it's measured.
Yeah, it depends on how it's measured, but my recollection was it was measured by,
The side of that building, about 75 feet.
okay, all right.
But it's door to door.
Yeah.
Not closest point.
Doors to the building, front and the doors.
Mr. Latimer.
Well, it goes by the main primary entrance.
Okay, too many side conversations here, please. Okay. So, Alderman Sistrunk, anything further? Mr. Latimer's going to do a little research here while we're sitting.
If we can accommodate both, that would be ideal.
Okay, all right. Alderman Lewis? Okay. Alderman Walker?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The second gentleman that spoke brought up the question I had, and I remember a number of years ago that came through in what I'm going to call the Rick's parking lot. We had an existing building that was turned into a place of worship, and we had very similar conversations to what we're having right now. I am in no way opposed to having a place of worship there. I do, however, recognize that this is a heavy commercial district located on Highway 12, and that there is routinely going to be changeover in business, and that primary use of that commercial corridor would allow any of those uses that might potentially be in conflict with the use that we're thinking about granting tonight. And before we make the motion, I think it is very important that we have the city attorney look at this to find out if the place of worship is willing to sign a waiver and what kind of legal authority that might have, if any, because I do think that's important to protect the businesses that are around and to protect future businesses that may want to associate on Highway 12, the primary vehicular corridor in the city of Starkville, and not have that be impeded by something that may be there long term. I know if they move out or abandon, then it goes away. But we need to make sure that we're crossing all our bases here. So I would certainly ask the city attorney to try to give us an answer on that, and would propose that if we don't have sufficient answer to that this measure be tabled and we address it at our next meeting. Thank you.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, Alderman Walker. We will see how the city attorney progresses as we go down the table. Alderman Beatty.
Mayor, if apparently these sidewalk distance on the forward vision thing would be the ones that would be a building in the future if it changed occupancy would be affected by this, correct?
That's part of what the
75 feet, 75 feet.
Approximately based on the scale bar below.
So if you get to the forward vision, you're right, probably at 100 feet there. The next building down would not be affected by. So the substance storefronts after Fort Vision would not, if it's a sidewalk, really correct.
Well, that's crow flies, even the front of the
I'm looking at it right now.
The entrance is right there.
Right.
The entrance is right there. You can see it, the scale bars, that's fixed. So it's really close. That being.
You're saying it's diagonal, it's a crow fly, it's not a sidewalk
I
distance.
believe that's what the city frame.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, Mr. Latimer says he's got it, so we'll pause and let you.
So I'm looking at a statute here that is Mississippi Code 67-151. And what it says is, except as otherwise provided in this subsection, that's just the exception, this is the rule. No authority shall be granted to any person to manufacture, sell, or store for sale any intoxicating liquor as specified in this chapter within 400 feet of any church, school, kindergarten, or funeral home. However, within an area zoned commercial or business, such minimum distance shall not be less than 100 feet. It goes on to say, a church or funeral home may waive the distance restrictions imposed in this subsection in favor of allowing issuance by the department of a permit, an alcohol permit. It goes on to say such waiver shall be in written form by the owner, and the waiver shall be filed and verified with the department before becoming effective.
Is it still no less than 100 feet though?
It is.
Okay, so 100 feet is the tick. Now, where you measure that 100 feet is the other element.
You go to the city's ordinance, section 1038, and it says this distance shall be measured from the nearest point of entry to the building housing the church, school, kindergarten, or funeral home to the nearest point of the premises, which consists of the floor planned area to be licensed by the commission. This distance shall be measured in a straight line, such as airline distance, rather than the usual route of pedestrian travel.
So you take the corner of that building over there, and it will be within 100 feet of any one of those.
The whole thing is within 100 feet now. The whole building is. If you,
But if they're waiting to move.
Well, but you can't waive it less than 100 feet.
if you go by the front door, they're excluded, but if you go by the big back door, every business there is within 50 feet, 75 feet.
Nobody back there. It's in
All right.
front of 20.
All right, let's, Alderman Beatty, you mentioned it. Okay. Vice Mayor Perkins?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Attorney, I think, it's my recommendation, rather, that you need all the time that you need to thoroughly research and evaluate and consider this matter, because it's a very important matter. We certainly have a state law here that is applicable, and it may boil down to the question tonight to see whether you need some additional time to just evaluate this matter, just to get some measurement, because the statute seems to be, the ordinance seems to be pretty and rather precise on how you go about the measurement. So we're going to have to really follow this statute to the letter. Are you in a position now where you have a definitive position on this less than 100 feet and how we go about the measurement of this 100 feet, Mr. Attorney?
I could point to the language, and as a lawyer, you always want more time, Vice Mayor, so I'm happy with more time to research. But at the same time, I can read that sentence from section 1038, which says this distance shall be met, and that's going to be either the 400-foot distance or the 100-foot distance in a commercially zoned area. This distance shall be measured from the nearest point of entry to the building housing the church, school, kindergarten, or funeral home, to the nearest point of the premises, which consists of the floor planned area to be licensed by the commission. So it would be the nearest point of the entity selling alcohol to the nearest point of entry of the church. So from the point of the floor plan of the business selling alcohol to the front door of the church would be my interpretation right now, without further research.
And I'm not thoroughly familiar with that area. So with that language, what prohibitions? I'm hearing about the restaurant. There a restaurant over in that location within 100 feet?
At this point in time, Vice Mayor, no, there's not. There's a cleaners and there's a eye place, and there used to be a hair place. I don't know if it's still a hair place or not.
It's still a hair place and there's a financial place.
And a financial place. So Daniel, if you drew your line from the entry of the church, which I presume to be facing Taylor Street there.
Yes, I believe it's
right there.
Yes, I'm listening. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, I didn't mean to step on you, but I was just gonna get Mr. Haviland to draw his
Go
line,
ahead.
but I don't think he
Go
has
ahead,
a
Mayor.
scale. Do you have a scale on that, Mr. Haviland?
Thin scale, and, anywhere from this line back, this unit right here will definitely, that floor plan area, if it were a restaurant, serving would be affected. The units that are shown up here, these two units, are outside of that 100.
Okay, what about from the back door when you said any entrance wall?
Primary entrance.
Primary entrance.
Primary.
But it's still a straight line, so a straight line to either one of those other two?
Primary entrance here, back there, that is over 100 feet.
Okay, what are the dimensions of that leased area? The box, okay.
Okay, Mayor, I yield the floor. Mr. Latimer has answered my question. Thank you. No, you did
Okay,
great, Mayor. No problem. No, you did great. I want to hear all that. That was great. Thank you. I want to hear that.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, Alderman Vaughn?
So, Mayor.
Okay, and Mr. Haviland, roughly?
About 100 by 75 here, 70.
Well, that whole
Looks like
area
it's square.
is not the place to worship. There's an insurance office in there too.
In
It's not leaving that whole.
the area that's shown as leased, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that, okay. Okay, I assumed the whole area that was showing as a leased area was,
There's an insurance company in that vicinity right there where he's at highlighted.
okay, all right. So, all right, we need to determine what the board's pleasure is. Do we want to wait, and allow Mr. Latimer to do a little bit more research?
Mayor.
Sistrunk,
Oh.
Alderman Walker, I'm sorry, Alderman Sistrunk's hand, and then I will come to you, Alderman Walker.
The Department of Revenue's frequently asked questions says that, it tracks with what Attorney Latimer has read to us, and it says, in a commercial area, that district is reduced to 100 seats. And then it goes on to say, a church or funeral home can waive the distance requirements. And so.
Can it waive it to less than 100 feet was my question.
Yeah,
It can.
the
The waiver applies to any of those districts. Okay.
That's what I thought earlier, that was a moot point.
Okay.
If they sign a waiver, that'll do the deal.
Okay. Okay. At one point in time, I had said, does that apply to 100 feet? And I thought I had heard differently. So, okay. Okay. All right. So waiver is possible, under those sets of circumstances. So with that being the case, do we want to, everyone's had an opportunity to discuss, do I have a motion that would include a requirement for the waiver for chance?
I'll make that motion, I'm sorry.
Okay. I thought Alderman Little,
I'll defer.
I was just, my question was, do we need to have that written waiver?
Yes, it would be my motion.
Have it as stipulation, as a condition? Yes.
okay. Alderman Bailey.
Mayor.
Make that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Alderman Walker, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little out of hand here. My apologies. Alderman Walker.
No, ma'am. I was going to say that I agree that I think it's my recollection that we had done a waiver before on that one in the Rick's parking lot. And that's where my question is I would prefer to table this, have that waiver in hand from the applicant pre-signed that they waive that, and have the city attorney to make sure that that's what that waiver in fact means. Because essentially what it would mean if we approve this without that waiver, that you're going to preclude any other type of establishment on that existing piece of property that could come in conflict. And we just want to make sure, I think as a city government, that we're doing our due diligence. And if you've got an applicant that is willing to waive that policy, then I think we should look at that. So I would be willing to vote yes on this at our next meeting, assuming we come back with the city attorney has that language and the applicant has a signed waiver in hand and we're ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, are you making a motion to table until the next meeting?
Yes, ma'am. I'm making a motion that we table until the applicant comes back with a waiver in hand per what the city attorney just said.
Second, Mayor.
Okay.
Second that motion.
All right, Vice Mayor, I hear a motion from Alderman Walker and a second from Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Not debatable.
No, it's not debatable. I was going to say, would you answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name? Alderman Vaughn? I have a request that we start with you.
Yeah.
I assume someone thinks this is the hot seat.
Mayor, let me say something before. Can I say something on that?
Well, this is a motion to table, so it's not
point of order, I had made to put in a motion to.
Oh, I never got a full motion from you. I'm sorry. I thought we were debating as to who was making the motion.
It was a motion. Dave and I were trying to decide who was going to enter that motion, but it would be contingent on the signed exception.
Okay, well, I do have a motion and a second in place right now, so I'm sorry. Okay, now, if you would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. Alderman Vaughn.
Just to table the motion to the waiver sign, right?
Yes, sir.
Yay.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Nay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Nay.
Alderman Fisher.
No.
Alderman Carter.
Nay.
All right, so that motion does not carry.
May I be recognized?
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Mayor, let me just briefly say this. So whatever the board wants to do, that will control. But what this gentleman from Ford was trying to do, he was just trying to legally protect the city. And it is prudent in my legal opinion. But it's whatever the board wants to do. But let me just say this in completion here. And once we got the waiver that was reviewed by the city attorney, what that does, it legally protects and the city attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, but it legally protects the city. That waiver needs to be properly drawn and properly drafted, so it'll have all of the necessary, proper, and correct legal elements. So we get the waiver. We're not saying we're not going to do it. But what the gentleman from Ford, my second, is advocating is, once you get the waiver, we just want to do it right. That's all it says. That's not in opposition to what the majority at this time seems to want. The waiver is just a means of fully protecting the city of Starkville, or as the gentleman from Ford was carefully articulating. That's all we're trying to do. And I'm not against it, and the gentleman from Ford does not seem to be against it. I'm not speaking for him, but he's just trying to say, and I'm concurring with him, it's just trying to get it right. So when we get the waiver to be reviewed by the city attorney, and I'm sure he would bring it back at the meeting on the 18th, and then it'll be in place, and they can operate like the majority and the gentleman from Ford and the vice mayor wants to. So I just wanted to say that, but whatever the board decides to do, but it's a legal measure here, and it has to be done legally correct. So I yield, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, waiting on a motion, Alderman Little.
Question for the city attorney, and following that, do you see any problem with waiting, moving forward with the condition that we have the signed waiver before it's?
The way to do it would be to make it a formal condition to the action items tonight. So the suggested motion, as I read it, move approval of UE 20-01, a request for special exception to allow for a place of worship at 708 Taylor Road, Suite B and C, specifically conditioned upon the Orchard Church providing a waiver pursuant to Mississippi Code Section 67-1-51 to the satisfaction of the city attorney.
And put a due date on there.
What do y'all want to do?
I don't know. We're listening to a collective motion. Alderman Little, I'm going to let this be your motion.
Let's say do the Thursday prior to our next work session, what's the date of that?
It'll be the 13th.
Works for me.
And move approval as read by the city attorney. With
Ms. Harden, did you get that? Okay. All right.
It was dictated.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, a second from Alderman Beatty. All right. Without further ado, if we would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. And we'll start again with Alderman Vaughn, if that's all right.
What's the motion? Yeah, which was the motion?
Sure, I can reread it.
Read the motion again.
Yes, sir. Move approval of UE 20-01, a special request for special exception to allow for a place of worship at 708 Taylor Road, Suite B and C, specifically conditioned upon the Orchard Church providing a waiver pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated section symbol 67-1-51, the satisfaction of the city attorney on or before August 13th, 2020.
Yay. All right, thank you.
Nay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yes.
Alderman Walker.
Nay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Fisher.
Yay.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
All right, motion carries. I have a 5-2. Thank you all for working our way through that one.
That was very disgusting.
Excuse me, Mayor, real quick. We just need to make sure that we tell all those other tenants in that, on that lot, that in order to make sure that they're in compliance, that they're going to need to read the minutes for that meeting, because otherwise they're not going to be informed of what the rule is. Thank you.
Correct.
All right. We will make a point to get in touch with the other tenants, and I'm sure the tenants who are here will make a point to get in touch with the other tenants. So we will do all that. Thank you, Alderman Walker. And while we're at it, I want to say loudly and clearly that Taylor Road is not a city street. So when people start complaining about its status, we don't own it, so we can't fix it. So just to be clear. All right. Mr. Haviland, next item on the agenda, public hearing, consideration of variance 20-05.
Yeah, 20-05. This is a request by Springer Engineering on behalf of Starkville Utilities for a variance from sidewalk requirements for 605 Martin 15 Junior Drive East. The property is currently zoned SI, which is Special Institutional. And this is the area of their operational office, and I believe there's a substation up front. It's right there at the intersection of 12 and Stockmore. Starkville Utilities is in the process of adding an addition to its existing operation center. The new addition triggers the requirement to add sidewalks. In accordance with section 3.7.5.B.1, the applicant is requesting to use the fee in lieu option with the variance. Section 3.7.1 provides the criteria for variance review and approval. 6 property owners of records within 160 feet of the subject property were notified by mail. The legal ad was published in Starkville Daily News on July 5th, 2020. And a sign was posted on the property in a conspicuous location. As the state planning office received their response from the notification. And in the opinion of the planning department, the proposed variance request could meet the criteria for variance review and approval. On July 22nd, the Board of Adjustments and Appeals voted unanimously to recommend approval of the proposal.
Okay, thank you. And I believe the applicant is us, but Mr. Kemp, do you have anything you'd like to add to this? Okay, I won't make you come forward then, unless there are some questions, in which case we'll do that. So, all right, we will go one by one and see if there's, well, no, let's do a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item now is the opportunity. We'll open it as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor or against? Seeing none, I will close it as a public hearing.
Approval, Mayor.
And I have a motion for approval from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
I heard Alderman Beatty first. Alderman Beatty gave me a second. Now, we will go through each alderman to see if there are any comments. Alderman Carver.
I don't have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Citron?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question. Mr. Haviland, can you explain choosing the option fee in lieu? Can you explain what that means in terms of our ordinance and how that applies in this situation?
In the UDC, we modified the variances for sidewalk requests. You can't just get excused completely from doing sidewalks. You have the option of either doing an alternative sidewalk in the area of your project, around the project, because you can't do them on your site, or you can do the fee in lieu option, which gives the money to the city to add to a sidewalk network near it or finish up a project and affords a capital improvements plan somewhere in the area.
Thank you. So, well, it sort of does. So the fee in lieu option that we're going to have to get, who is going to be making the decision for where that money is going to go and how that sidewalk is going to be used. And in the packet, it states that there's no other sidewalk or other things planned within this. We have about a $12 million build grant that's on 182 that I would say is less than an eighth or a quarter of a mile west of this. site that's going to have very much going to have some improvements in pedestrian and other mobility. So I'm fine with approving this tonight with the fee in lieu option. I think we just need to be clear for the money that needs to be set aside. A, how much is that? B, what budget line item is that going to go in? And then C, who's going to be in control of how we use and spend that money? If I get some good answers for that, I'll be fully in support of this motion.
Well, let me tell you what I was thinking was going to happen to it, that it would go into our sidewalk money. We have a line item for sidewalks, and then the board then ultimately decides what sidewalks are going to be built by virtue of our city engineer helping us move forward with various sidewalk projects. So that was my anticipation of how this would go. It would be just added to our sidewalk budget.
I think then that needs to be part of a motion or a condition. Otherwise, it's going to go into a black hole if it's not specifically conditioned for where that money is going to go, unless that is clearly articulated in the UDC. If that money is fee in lieu, if it goes to the budget line item for sidewalks, which I don't believe is the case, if we make a motion to approve this tonight, it would be my recommendation that that condition is specifically added.
Okay, well, that would be, and actually it says up here, fees shall be used to construct sidewalks as needed in accordance with the adopted capital improvements plan. So I would suggest that we did somewhat cover that, but perhaps not as specifically as you would like, Alderman Walker, but we can certainly do that in whatever kind of motion gets made. Alderman Beatty.
There, I'll pass.
Okay, Vice Mayor Perkins.
Oh, I agree with the gentleman from Fort Mayor. I have nothing further.
All right, thank you. Alderman Vaughn?
No, Mayor.
All right, would anyone like to make, Alderman Walker, would you like to make a motion, such a motion? Never mind. Alderman Sistrunk has her hand. I'll let you off the hook, Alderman Walker. Alderman Sistrunk.
I would move that, I would move approval and that the funds be recorded in the sidewalk line item of the budget and be rolled over from year to year until fully spent.
Motion.
Yes, that is a motion.
I would second it.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Sistrunk, and I have a second from, now I've got myself confused. Did I have a motion from you, Alderman Little? Is this on something else? I may have confused myself. Okay, so we have a motion from Alderman Sistrunk and a second from Alderman Beatty. And everyone is clear on the motion that it is to include the sidewalks going into the sidewalk line item of the budget to be carried over from year to year. I heard someone, but I'm not sure who it was.
It's Alderman Carver. I'm trying to write that down. I couldn't write it down. Read that motion one more time, verbatim, please.
All right, Alderman Sistrunk, you want to read your motion?
May I make a friendly amendment while I'm doing that? That the move approval and that the revenues resulting from this be recorded in a special sidewalk line in the budget, and that line item roll over year until the funds are fully expended.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is that acceptable to the second?
That's acceptable. How much money are we talking about?
It's about $80,000.
I'll pay a lot of sidewalks.
It will be. It will. All right, Alderman Carver, anything further?
No, ma'am, that's sufficient.
Thank you. Alderman Sistrunk, anything?
No, I certainly would like to say that I think it's important that we not commingle this with other funds, because it can get lost in that black hole that Alderman Walker speaks of. And so a separate line item.
Okay. All right, Alderman Little? Yeah. All right, Alderman Walker, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor, thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am, Mayor, thank you.
You, Alderman?
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I have a motion and a second. I think we all understand what the motion is with the condition, and so if you would please answer yea or nay as a call your name and source. Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Fisher. Yay. Alderman Miller.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
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 All right, it is unanimous. Thank you all. All right, one last item on the agenda is the claims docket. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Hang on a second. Latimer has asked to clarify the matter of the assembly, trades and assembly approval.
I heard the word confusion a minute ago, and I got confused. I got it wrong, Alderman Beatty. I want to clarify what I said. The First Amendment process doesn't go before the board. That's administrative. And depending on what type of event it is, it's a 24-hour process or a 7-day process. Chief Ballard and our other department heads, it can be signed off by the mayor. I got that wrong.
Appreciate the clarification. All right, Alderman Sistrunk, did I hear a motion for the claims docket? All right. A motion for approval of the claims docket from Alderman Sistrunk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Little. Any discussion? No acclamation discussion. Therefore, if you would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Ballard.
Nay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Nay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Little. Alderman Sistrunk.
Yay.
Alderman Ballard.
Yay.
All right, motion carries 5-2, and that brings us to the end of our agenda. Let me read the language for the work session. With a notice the board will be having a work session on the 14th of August, 2020 at 10 a.m. That meeting will be held at the City Hall, second floor conference room located at 110 Main Street. Public and media are 10. Notice should be provided of the work session within 1 hour of this meeting. Posting such notice, the work session should be made a proper minute to the board meeting, and the work session will be an open public meeting of the City of Starkville, and the public press are invited to attend with masks. If you would, please, could I get a motion to recess?
Make this a motion.
Everybody want to stay? Okay, I have a motion to recess from all. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from all. Would please, yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carter.
Yay.
Alderman Sistrunk.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are in recess and greatly appreciate your attendance and your working with us through the agenda and the public hearing. So,
Everyone have a good night.
thank you. You too.